Chapter 9, Lesson 3, Winning Independence. What to know? How did the Americans win the Revolutionary War? 2 vocab words, civilian and traitor. List of people that we're going to read about today and places that were important in the Revolutionary War. Revolutionary heroes. During the Revolutionary War, the Continental Army and Navy received help from many civilians. Civilians are people that are not in the military. Nathan Hale was a teacher who served as an American spy in New York City. When he was captured by the British, they hanged him. According to the legend, his final words were, "I regret that I have but one life to live, to lose for my country." Fighting men and women. At sea, John Paul Jones, an American Navy commander, battled larger British ships. During one battle in the North Sea near Britain, the British asked Jones to give up. He said, "I have not yet begun to fight." Jones kept fighting until the British ship gave up. American women also won fame for their bravery during the war. Mary Ludwig Hayes McCully earned the name Molly Pitcher by carrying fresh water to American troops during the Battle of Monmouth in New Jersey in 1778. When her husband was wounded, she took his place in battle and loaded cannons. As word of the fight for freedom sped, more volunteers came. Thaddeus Kosciuszko left Poland to serve in the Continental Army. He helped design the plans for a fort at West Point, New York, that is now part of the United States Military Academy. You've probably heard of West Point. West Point is where soldiers in the Army go to train to be officers. Here's a map of some of the major battles during the American Revolution. The green area shows where the American colonies, the 13 colonies, were. This land out here, remember, was reserved for the Native Americans in the Proclamation of 1763. And the land beyond the Mississippi River still belonged at this time to the Spanish. The war moves. When the British learned that the French were helping the Americans, they decided to move the fighting to the south. The British had already captured many important cities in the north. Now they hoped to defeat the Americans in the south before French help could arrive. The British knew that many loyalists lived in the south. They hoped to get help from these colonists. British leaders also hoped to capture southern ports so they could receive supplies for British Navy. Inland, the fighting was much harder. The British lost several battles along the frontier, including the Battle of Vincennes, which is now in Indiana. Battles in the South. Savannah, Georgia, was Britain's first target in the South. On November 25th, 1778, about 3,500 British soldiers landed near this town. They quickly attacked the American soldiers who were trying to defend Savannah. In 1780, the British took Charlestown, later known as Charleston, South Carolina. There, too, the Americans were greatly outnumbered and soon lost. In early 1781, Benedict Arnold, a former Continental Army officer, led British attacks on Virginia towns. Arnold had become a traitor, or someone who acts against his or her country. He betrayed his country because he was not happy with his rank and salary. Americans fight back. Although the Americans lost several battles to the British, they kept fighting. General Nathanael Greene, who led the Continental Army in the South, told his soldiers not to give up. He wrote, "We fight, get beat, rise, and fight again." Under Greene's leadership, General Daniel Morgan led the Americans to a major victory at Cowpens, South Carolina, in January 1781. The Battle of Cowpens proved that American forces could defeat the British in the South. The British Army then pushed